Perfect. Here we go. So, hi everybody. Thanks for joining. We can pop around and do some intros before we get started. And thank you for your patience while we got our conference room set up. I'm Stephanie Camino, the director of the Blackstone Watershed Collaborative. I'm Rachel Holbert, Narragansett Bay Research Reserve as a division of R&D.
Hi, Jenny Rogers, Narragansett Bay Estuary Program Staff Ecologist.
Good morning, Kevin Rice, Blackstone Watershed Collaborative Financing Program.
Kelly Phelan, Conservation Program Manager for TNC. And online, Nils, do you want to go? Since you're unmuted.
Sure. Hi, everyone. Good morning. Nils Weberg, Fussin O'Neill.
Thanks, John.
Morning, everyone. John Moslin, Blackstone River Watershed Council.
Thanks, Laurel.
Good morning, Laurel Racine with the National Park Service.
Thanks for coming. Nice to meet you.
My pleasure. Good to meet you.
Darcy. And we have someone on the phone. Is Darcy also on the phone, or?
Yeah, this is Kate McPherson, Save the Bay's Narragansett Bay Riverkeeper on the phone.
Great. Thanks, Kate. And Darcy, do we have you?
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry about that. Darcy on Narragansett Bay Estuary Program. I'm on my way upstairs, so I'll see you guys shortly.
No worries. Take your time. So thanks for joining, everybody. I feel like it's been a long time since we've seen each other because we did a virtual meeting last month. But yeah, we continue to be. So first thing on the agenda is we have any updates with Slater and Main Street permitting. So we have in the notes still waiting on the assent application from CRMC and waiting to hear back from Army Corps about archaeology in section 160, 106, I think that's supposed to be. Nils, do you have any other update or clarification there?
No, I actually still have not heard from Army Corps. We sent a polite inquiry to them as to the status, and we didn't hear anything back. So we can check in again, maybe give Alex a call, just to kind of get a read on what's happening. So I think that's still outstanding. And I recall, my memory may fail me, but I recall that we got the CRMC and that it was recorded in the city of Pawtucket's, property records as required. And so that was returned as well. So I think CRMC is closed out.
Okay. I would have phrased the assent approval.
Yeah, it would have been in the assent approval. I'll double check again my records here. I should have looked before the call.
No worries. Thank you.
Yep. And that's really the only thing that is outstanding, I guess. Yeah, it was recorded on July 27th. Mike sent a note about that as well. So, and I think the only other correspondence that I had with Matt was relative to, well, I guess it didn't really come up for, well, it did come up for both sites, but it was relative to NEPA requirements, possibly. But I think in the context of his email with Fish and Wildlife, it was relative to Elizabeth Webbing Dam. And I don't know, is Matt on the call here? I don't see him.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, Ted with U.S. Fish and Wildlife was asking me about that.
Yeah.
And I just sent him your response pretty much.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, so just to kind of separate it, that's not really directed in the context of Main Street, but there could be NEPA requirements for Main Street if or when federal funding does come in, and there's a lead federal agency. Other than that, I've just been just working on some budgeting for the next phase of Main Street. I have some numbers in, but we're still being reviewed. So I was going to reach out to Kelly and give her an update as well. I haven't had a chance to do that. So if you're around, Kelly, I can give you a call, or you can
I am around until about 1 today and tomorrow.
Tomorrow as well, to 1? Okay, great. Okay.
But I'll email you.
Yeah, no worries, no worries.
Thanks, Liz.
Yep.
And we had a couple people join. If you want to introduce yourselves, Matt.
Yeah, Matt Gendron with DEM Fish and Wildlife.
Thanks. And Kyle.
Hi, Kyle McElroy, Resiliency Manager at City of Pawtucket.
Thanks, Kyle. And I think the new face here for you guys is Laurel from the Park Service, who's taken over for Eric while he's been reassigned.
He's doing a detail.
Yeah, temporary detail through mid-October, and he might join us today too.
Okay, great, thanks. Okay, so moving on to Elizabeth. Any questions on Main Street later?
I have like a mini update for the RFP proposal, even though it's nothing like great. It's just that things are taking a long time because there's like developer that is mainly selected, but they're trying to negotiate how much they actually want the city to do to prep work for them to develop. And so that is what is taking so long with these negotiations. Unsurprisingly, they want kind of, like free money. So this is why it's taking so long. So I don't have like an update, but it's just like it's still working through. Nothing final. The city's trying to move it forward, and I don't know. It might come. I don't know. So just to provide that little tidbit about why it's taking so long.
I mean, that sounds like progress though. Like updated of having a developer selected. That's news. So we'll keep an eye on that.
I will say that a developer that they're talking with the most. I think because of these talks, they're not fully. It's like I'm not fully involved in it. I think everyone's trying to like maximize money and things and stuff like that. So, but I don't know if anyone's been to Pawtucket recently and seen. We have put some sculptures in this little park area by the main street. I don't know if you've seen them. I think it's great because I think that they're bringing sort of some visibility to this parcel of land as a park. I think that really benefits some of the future, maybe some work with like the Fish Passage of just bringing people just recreating in this park more. Because I don't think it's been very utilized. And I don't know, it looks nice with they're temporary sculptures. They're going to be moved to our Tidewater area when that all gets built in the future. But we had this temporary space. So if you haven't got a chance to look at them, go down. They're kind of nice.
Yeah, no, I saw those the other day and I was like, wait. Those were never there before, right? Am I crazy? So yeah, thanks for highlighting that. Anything else on Slater Main Street? Okay. Elizabeth Webbing. I might just hand this to you, Nils, instead of reading our agenda.
Sure. I mean, yeah, it's really just a final report that we sent to Matt and Bright and Kelly last week or the week before. I think, Matt, you're just circulating it to see if there are questions or comments.
Yeah, we'll meet internally, the fisheries team, hopefully this upcoming week and get the feedback back to you next week.
Okay. Yeah, so that really is it. Obviously, there are external elements, but more or less, we've written up the report with the recommendation for the Full River Nature Lake Fishway. But whether that's feasible to the property owner is an open question at this point. So.
And do we know if Jason has talked to Lucia?
So the last time I spoke to him, I think last week, he was still waiting on that. So.
I didn't quite catch that. Can you repeat yourself?
Yeah, sorry. So Jason had reached out to Louis Yip, maybe within the last 2 to 3 weeks, and he's still waiting on a response.
Got it, thanks.
Sure. Okay, and then the last note is coordinating with Fish and Wildlife to advance the CDS funding. So even though the project was earmarked, DEM still needs to apply for the funding. And I think last time we met, we were feeling like pretty good about that. Is there any update there?
Yeah, I've been meeting with Ted, who's overseeing that project for US Fish and Wildlife. And we're just going through the process. And I've been meeting with Veronica. Veronica's gonna be handling the application on our end. And maybe Rachel helping out as well.
Okay,
So yeah.
is it like a big full process? Time?
I think it's like the standard
Okay,
for 24 application. With
is it more of a formality then?
So I think from what he told me, they wanna just make sure that it aligns with administration goals. And as long as those boxes are checked, then hopefully get that fun.
Do you guys have to submit a work plan or anything like that? It sounds similar to what we do for NEP funding,
So-
which is, you know, appropriated for us, but then we have to apply for it with everything.
Yeah, so I know there are a couple additional documents he's gonna send me. He was supposed to send me them on Friday, but I think he had some technical issues. And I should be receiving them soon, so I can have a better review.
Okay.
Any other questions, thoughts, updates there? Okay. Laurel, are you okay if we move on from Elizabeth Webbing, or is there anything that you wanted to add?
I have nothing to add, and I'm seeing if Eric can join.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Yep, we can come back to it too. So next on our agenda is updates on any other hydro projects. Kevin, I might hand that to you.
Yeah, so FERC issued a deficiency letter to One Drop Hydro. Pretty much saying you didn't give us a full application, so we can't really even consider it. I put in the notes, but I'll just read out quickly kind of deficiencies that they pointed out. Tribal consultation, historic research resources. They're looking for additional information on the historic properties within the project area, which is within a historic district. So an important distinction that they didn't put out there. That they need to conduct with the SHPO for that part of it. Project design, they're missing several required engineering components. So like supporting design report demonstrating structural stability and complete dam drawing, which could be really helpful for this group because that's one thing that we kind of asked for, like ground truthing of a lot of the information. We found that it wasn't perfect what we thought before. So they have to go the next step forward. They actually have to go to the dam. They have to do all these actual on ground drawings. So that could be helpful for us. Fish passage, they weren't happy about downstream passage design, trash rack configuration, stuff like that. And then recreation, because they did put recreation into their FERC application. There was no clarification on boat launches, portage routes, viewing areas, anything like that. And of course, the big one, tribal consultation. They didn't document any consultation. In conversations with the Deputy Tribal Historic Preservation Office, they've never heard from them ever. They have no idea who they are. And I think that that's still one sticking point. Anyone in this room, anyone that's listening, to CC a tribe on a group email saying that we should talk, it's not a appropriate way of requesting formal consultation with the sovereign nation, just not the way to do it. So they have a lot of hurdles to clear. They have 90 days to do so for all of those. So if you're around Central Falls and near the dam and you see people working around, that's probably them because they're going to be spiraling, I guess, to get this done. They also, FERC offered a new timeline. This isn't in the notes, it was just filed, I think, yesterday or the day before, saying that they anticipate to be able to say, FERC anticipates to be able to say you have completed your application at the end of December of 2026. And the timeline then goes on from there of, I think, April of 2027 to even start the environmental aspect of this project. So very long timeline still ahead of one drop, that they're looking to create hydro.
And question, because you said, you know, they might be around and working on the dam because they need all of this detail. It's DEM's property. Do they have any kind of like easement or rights to be able to do that? Have they requested those?
I don't know,
Okay,
sorry.
I feel like that's another question because I know DEM in the past has said you know, they don't have like an easement or any legal authority, right, to go on the dam and do these inspections or.
I know they reached out to us like within the last few weeks, because Jason was telling me, but aside, I wasn't included in that.
Sure.
So I'm not entirely sure.
That's a great question though, because one drop's entire angle is that it will take it by eminent domain. But, which is a possible thing, like they can do that if FERC issues license and all, but until then. What rights do they have to be on the dam doing studies and things like, I guess I'd have to pull a permit to be able to do anything like that, yeah. So.
I know DEM in their past letters of submitting comments to FERC about the project have specifically stated that, you know, there are no easements, there's no current like rights, right? So. That would be.
How long would a permit take to be able to do structural engineering evaluations on a DM owned dam? I feel like in the Park Service for a permit to have a birthday party on the park for more than 25 people, we say it can take up to 30 days. So to do something really large like that, I feel like is a really long possible timeline that if I was one drop, I'd be like,
What did you say, Jason?
Well, I was gonna ask that to Nils, if you have any, like, is there something that someone has to do in order to just do those kinds of evaluations? There's permits you have to pull.
Yeah, a lot of times there's, you know, an exclusion for doing engineering investigations or surveys. But I think it might, you know, come down to like a legal property access issue if, you know, if RIDEM was to enforce its ownership and, you know, right to exclude access for safety or other reasons. But from an environmental permitting standpoint, I think that you have general liberties as long as you're like we've done drilling and salt marshes before with drill rigs and crane mats, and we had to go through a very minimal level of permitting for that. But outside of that, there's generally leeway.
Yeah, I want to echo what Neil said. You wouldn't need like a wetland permit to get those to take those measurements, but you would need access agreement from DEM.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of questions there. Any other conversation around one drop or other hydro? If anyone's heard anything else about other hydro projects?
Those performing again.
Yeah.
my pleasure.
Yeah.
This is the fun stuff.
Okay. Eric, welcome. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Good morning, everyone. Leave a right person and I have to leave at 10. Sorry about that. I had a conflicting meeting and I got postponed on me, so Laura was kind enough to remind me that this is going on. I am normally the superintendent of Blackstone River Valley National Historical Park, but I've taken a temporary assignment as the Region 1 Environmental Officer for the Department of Interior. So happy to join you this morning. Sorry to be so late.
Yeah, thanks. So if you only have a few minutes, is there something that you wanted to add and kind of bop around on the agenda before we take? So right now on our agenda, we are about to go to item 4, which is review of any updates to funding.
I was just curious where things stood with the Elizabeth Wedding plans.
Yeah, so sorry. Right now, we're still waiting for that final memo to be reviewed by DEM that Gosh, sorry. That lists the preferred alternative as full removal with a in-river nature-like fishway. So DEM's reviewing that this week and we'll probably have final comments back to Nils by next week. Is that a good summary?
Okay.
So I think we would anticipate that at our next CAC meeting, we would have that memo.
Yeah.
Hopefully, maybe like a week before our meeting so that folks have time to review it. And then that'll probably be the core of our agenda for next time. Does that sound good?
Thank you for stepping back a little bit to let me know what's going on. I appreciate that. Was the SHPO ever invited to be part of this process?
You know, I'm certainly not the permitting expert here. My understanding is that it's really early in the process. We don't even have that final memo of stating the preferred alternative, let alone the sort of design and stepping into permitting. So
Or the permission from Lewis yet to you.
exactly, yeah.
Against the covenant that's already in place.
Right, we're also waiting to hear back from Lewis yet. Jason's been reaching out to him. So I think until those pieces are in place, it's probably premature. However, I know that, you know, we've emailed and I've offered if we want to have a specific meeting and that makes sense. To have that conversation, if there are like early concerns that we want to make sure are included in. Maybe not the memo, but included in, you know, consideration early on, you know, let us know. And I at least am happy to chat with folks and I'm sure DEM can step in and be a part of that conversation.
That would be great because it is a contributing property on the National Historic District, so removal is a very big step for a preferred alternative. And the SHPO, when I conveyed this to them, was not very happy about it, but I'm not speaking for them.
Yeah.
I'm conveying concern and trying to get parties together so that it's a lot more smoothly and it's not this, you know, train that's building up speed and just like every other time, the SHPO has to be there to say, slow down, hold up, and that sort of thing. And it's not a fait accompli in their eyes, which they hate, I guess. And I do too as a preservationist. So with that, unfortunately, I'm going to sign off for the FEMA emergency planning meeting. And sorry about that, that I could pop in.
If you want to organize who those folks are, and I would also encourage inviting the TIPO as well from the Narragansett so that that conversation can be kind of held together. Again, let me know who those folks are. Happy to organize something.
Okay. Thank you, Stan. I appreciate that.
Thanks, Eric.
Everybody. Take care.
Frank.
Bye.
Anything else on Elizabeth Webbing or good? Okay. Popping back down to funding.
No word from Noah. Despite them indicating
I know.
that we should hear soon.
Yeah, I was very surprised, like that they would say, "Hey, you're going to hear something soon." Not, but I don't know.
We stay in touch with our known contacts.
I'm sure. Great. No news. And then I assume also I have not heard anything about any word updates.
So I looked into where to live.
No, you go.
Okay.
I'm bringing up an email, but I got about it yesterday.
I looked into it and last night we went to a outdoor concert. The band was terrible, so I sat my and I just looking more into it, I found it a lot more like hopeful than I did, I guess, when we first saw it. So the original $15 million authorization, that was in 2022. And that was for all dams. That was just if it's under, I think it's 206 Army Corps, like all dams have a cap of $15 million. It didn't spell out the Blackstone River, it didn't spell out this project. So in the 2026, it directly spells out this project for that authorization of $20 million. So that hasn't happened before. It like I have in the notes, the federal cost share is 90%, so only 10% has to be covered. which is really great. 2 million bucks is easy to come up with, but is way easier than 20 million. And then that, we've said this before, that the Army Corps can carry out the project using the plans of a non-federal sponsor, meaning Rhode Island DEM, Fuss and O'Neill, TNC. The work that's been going towards that isn't just going to be thrown out because the Army Corps stepped in and said, hey, we got a cheaper option, it should work okay. It authorizes them to use that plan. They still have to do checks and balances to make sure that it's fiscally responsible. But them raising that cap shows that they can use this plan. So I found it really, really great and more optimistic than I think I was before.
Thank you. Darcy, did you want to add anything?
No, you know, there's like I hear chatter about BRTA stuff, especially with projects that have previous BRTA funding that's been paused. So like there's a lot of that still happening around, you know, just with difficulty with even with stuff that was kind of in progress, but then got halted. So anyway.
It's probably a hard time for it too, because talking about like what makes this project really special isn't really loved by the current administration.
Yeah.
Like talking about the environmental justice aspect of it and things of that sort. Like in a different world, in a different life, like that gets us to the top of the list every time. Like a river that's never been touched before, we're reversing the negative impacts of the American Industrial Revolution, environmental justice community. 3 strikes. So hopeful, but we might be a few years. We'll beg for
That's still, I mean, that's a hopeful.
Yeah. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a good point.
And WRDA in theory is every 4 years? 2022, 2026, or is that an uneven?
Sounds right.
Meaning if it's there and if it's specifically called out, then it would be kind of is what it is for 4 years.
It's biennial, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It just doesn't necessarily get updated over time.
Sections get updated, but not ones that really.
Okay. And then I had a question, Kevin, you have under the House bill, it specifically noted that the Army Corps should expedite completion of the lower Blackstone.
Yeah, it doesn't do it's a lot more broad. So like expedite the completion, make the project eligible for the ability to pay, which would be good, but not as good as the 90%, I'd guess. The ability to pay is gets used a lot for like municipalities and what the municipality can pay, which is different than what the state can pay. So good, not as good. And then just adds a river to the restoration authority. So not just saying you could work on this, but you should work on this type thing, I guess. So it kind of just elevates it on the priority list for me.
That was my question. What does that mean?
Yeah, but no.
Yep. Great. Thanks. Any other questions, thoughts, updates on funding? And I know, Darcy, you had talked about MVP having a couple of rounds of funding coming up, that there's one open right now due in October, but it's probably less of a fit for this project because it's lower money, right?
Probably, I think it depends. It could be depending on what you guys need. It's targeted for planning activities. So planning and permitting. So if there's a need for that in either of the projects, then that would be a good fit. Otherwise, if you're looking for more implementation, that would be the RFP that we're anticipating in the spring. And that one we may kind of pitch as a late stage planning, like finish up your design and permits, plus do some implementation, kind of the way that like the DEM Bay and Watershed Restoration Fund works. But we haven't steering committee hasn't totally decided what the bounds of that RFP are gonna be just yet. But it will include implementation to some extent. So, and that's also gonna be more like a 1.75 million amount, because that's the SWIG funding that won't be competed by Restore America's Estuaries in the spring. So we're competing that chunk for EPA this year.
I expect we TNC will be applying for.
Awesome. Okay, good. In the spring.
I think in the fall.
Oh, in the fall.
To
Okay.
complete, permit, get to final design for that street. Main Street is in.
Main Street. Okay, awesome. Sounds good.
Okay, anything else on funding? Well, do it.
No, that's good. I provided details last time, but if anybody has wants to get into specifics around.
Yeah, I know we talked about it in the internal meeting and I'm trying to get some clarification, but I want to hear it from you.
Yeah.
Okay, so almost done here. I think we'll have an early meeting, but events, outreach, other updates. So the club does their Source to Sea paddle every year. This is our 4th time doing it. So start in Worcester, end in Providence, 60 miles. It's a fun time. We have our largest number of paddlers to date. We're pushing on the too many, to be honest.
Like folks joining you all the way from Worcester. Wow. Okay.
One day we will have 13 people. Wow. Most days we have 11 people. And we still turn people away. So we've had to use a different trailer so we have more room. We are at the absolute max. Every single seat in the van is filled.
Nice.
But we don't have any more boats to share. So, and the club bought 2 boats this year. So, yep, we're at our limit, but it's very popular. But in particular, we have our public event on the last day where we have an open free paddle to bring people from Festival Pier in Pawtucket down to Ghana Park in Providence, and then we end at Narragansett Brewing with a fun celebration. So we still, for the next week or so, have opportunities for sponsorships before we finalize everything. So elbow to Fuss and O'Neill, if you're interested in being a sponsor of our paddle. You have about a week left to decide that. Happy to follow up. And registration is open if anyone wants to attend. I know a lot of you came last year and it's a good time. So we encourage that. I think we have about 15, I think it was, seats filled out of 35. So we're doing pretty good to just have another month left. Any other thoughts, questions, updates on events or outreach? I was going to ask, and we can talk about this next time as well, but once we get the preferred alternative kind of report from DEM and we kind of discuss it at the CAC, at what point does it become a public document or final that we can share on our website, for instance, and update that?
That's a good question.
Oh, boo, Kyle, sorry.
I'd have to maybe talk to Jay.
Okay.
You're talking about the preferred alternative for removal. That may have posted that as a final report on our website already.
Oh.
I will check and let you know.
But they don't have the final report yet.
Oh, right. Yes. No, I was thinking about. Yes. Yeah, you're right. You don't have it yet.
I was like, do you have a secret?
No. Sorry, I was thinking about closing out the previous grant. To that certain alternatives assessment, but we don't have the name yet.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
I'm thinking ahead.
Yeah, we've just been thinking about we get a lot of questions about this and we talk about the project a lot. So just being able to update our website to be a little bit more clear about what's happening so that we can show things are happening. We are having all these conversations. And also that, I think in particular, showing that the Community Advisory Council can be really effective in helping to say, okay, well, what do all of these different stakeholders want and how do we influence the end of this project of, changing it from only considering some alternatives to including dam removal as an alternative that ended up being chosen. So we want to show that we do good things and that, in particular, Kevin and I have this in our minds because we're seeking additional funds to be able to continue facilitation of the Community Advisory Council. So having an updated website is helpful for that, for any funders who just want to see what it's all about. Okay. I don't have anything else. Does anyone else have any last thoughts, questions about this? Okay, short meeting.
I might have missed this, but I know we didn't hear back from NOAA. Do they have an updated timeline as to when we'll hear?
No communication of any kind.
Okay. It's a bummer.
I feel like a year plus, it's just sort of like, yeah. Goodness knows. Okay, well, our next meetings are coming up. September 17th is the next one, and I think that these are still all in 330C.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can move them if you like, but
No, I think that's fine. It's really fine. I just know sometimes we get bumped to 300 as well, so. Okay, great. Well, we will see you all next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye.